hold it away. It is time for the offering, and the offering collected today is going to go for our Pathfinder Club. So lift those dollars up so those children can see. We want to see what they're all dressed like today. Laura's still on her way up. We'll give her just a minute. Do we have somebody to come pick up the treasure chest for us, please? Awesome. Okay, let's leave it right there. Good morning, Laura. Oh, thank you for helping us lock it, Lizzie. Let you go. I have this story out of the Journey magazine, and it's called Hope's Bright Light. It said Sarah was a sweet little girl, always ready with a smile and a cheerful greeting. But one day a dark cloud seemed to settle over her heart, and she just couldn't explain why. She felt sad and worried all the time, and her friends and family noticed that something was very wrong. One sunny morning, as Sarah sat alone under the shade of a big oak tree, her grandmother, Granny Ruth, approached her with a gentle smile. Granny Ruth had a way of understanding things that no one else did. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. I don't know, Granny, what is wrong. I just feel so sad and scared all the time. I don't know what is wrong with me. Granny Ruth put her arm around Sarah and led her to a cozy spot underneath the oak. She had a small Bible from the pocket of her skirt, and she opened to a verse she knew that would bring comfort to her little granddaughter. She read aloud Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer, petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your heart and your minds in Jesus Christ. Sarah listened very carefully to the words and wiped away her tears. But how do I know? She asked Granny. How can I stop being so anxious? Granny Ruth smiled warmly and replied, It is a journey, my dear. Just like any other journey, it starts with a single step. First, we have to pray together and give all our worries to God. He cares deeply for you, and he wants to help you. Sarah and Granny Ruth knelt right there underneath that oak tree and prayed together, pouring out all Sarah's fears and worries to God. She felt a little glimmer of hope, like the small light shining through the darkness in her heart. As they got up from their knees, Granny Ruth took her hand, and they began to walk up the path towards the house. They were quiet for a long moment before Granny spoke again. You know, Sarah, you're never alone. There are many other people in this world that have the same type of feelings you have. Even strong heroes of the Bible, like David, he faced many sadnesses and fears. In the book of Psalms, David talked about his struggles. In one verse, he even wrote, "The Lord hears his people when they call on him for help. He rescues them in all of their troubles." Just remember, sweetie, you are never alone in your struggles. God is always with you and ready to help. Sarah listened intensely, eyes filled with hope. Granny Ruth told her about another person in the Bible, a young man named Joseph. Joseph had many difficult times in his life too. Did you know that? His mother died when he was a very young boy. His brothers were so jealous of him that they sold him as a slave. And he was accused of something terrible that he didn't even do and was thrown into prison for it. Wow. In Genesis 50:20, he said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Now Joseph could see that even when things were tough, God can turn them into something beautiful. Sarah thought about these stories. She felt a little glimmer of hope in her heart. Maybe, just maybe, God had a plan for all of her sadness. Over the weeks and the months that followed, Sarah continued to pray and seek help from her parents and a caring doctor. She learned how to share feelings with others too, and they offered her their love and their total support. Then one day, Sarah stood up underneath that very same oak tree. She realized that the heavy cloud that had settled over her heart was all gone. She remembered another verse that Granny had shared with her, Psalms 34:18. "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Sarah knew that God had been with her all that journey, guiding her through the darkness of anxiety and sadness, leading her towards the bright light of hope and healing. She shared her story with many others, remembering that even in their darkest moments, they were never alone. With faith, prayer, and support from the loved ones, they too can find healing. There's a couple of questions I want to just leave you guys. It says, have you ever felt sad or lonely like Sarah has? Have any of you ever felt sad? I have felt sad. What did Sarah's grandmother tell her about God's presence? Can anybody remember what Grandma told her? That God will never what? Leave her, right? Right? Okay. Can you think of a time when something that seemed bad turned to good? Has anything happened in your life personally that you just think it was so terrible, but God used it and made it work out for good? I know you were sick for a while, weren't you? Did God heal you and make you well? He did. So he took that sickness and he brought all the people together to pray for you, didn't he? So maybe in a way, that's what we needed to do. We needed to be brought back to prayer. How can talking to a trusted family member help you? Should you be able to go to your mommy and daddy and tell them whatever makes your heart sad? I mean, it could just be somebody at school who's sick and you want to pray. I know that there's some of you in here that do that already. And that's a good thing. Maybe your grandma's not feeling good or a family member. You can always just say, you know what, I'm really sad for them. How about if we do have a little prayer? Would that be a good thing to do? And who is God going to be with? He's going to be with them, isn't he? It says, remember that God loves you and is always there to listen and to help, just as in Psalms 34:7 said. So how does knowing this about God make you feel? Does it make you feel happy to know that God will take care of you in whatever situation you have? It does, doesn't it? So make sure you put a smile on your face as you walk back to your seats and have a great Sabbath.